Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope your weekend is off to a great start so far. This is the second weekend of 2020, so I hope your year is going really well, even though it just started. I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about new makeup. I don't think that I've done a purchase or pass video since probably before the holidays, and now that it is a new year, I think brands are releasing some interesting products. I always feel like when January rolls around, they tend to release some exciting collections, things that are a little bit new and innovative, and they just must be feeling very creative. So there are a lot of products that caught my eye, some that I'm definitely planning on purchasing, some that I'm not going to buy. So I thought I would go through them one by one and share them with you. So I have a couple of eyeshadow palettes to talk about, some face products, some drugstore collections, just all kinds of interesting things. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Even if you're not planning on buying anything, let me know which products are interesting to you. Like, what caught your eye and what are you sick of seeing? What products do you want to leave behind in 2019? Let me know. But let's jump into it and we'll talk about the new Anastasia palette. So even though Anastasia has been releasing a bunch of different eyeshadow palettes and collabs over the past few months, for some weird reason, I didn't expect them to do another one so soon in 2020, but they did collaborate with Amrezy to create this new eyeshadow palette that will be available on January 14th on the ABH website and then January 19th in stores for $49. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this because I think whenever I see a picture of it, the comments are always very split. People are either really excited about it and they can't wait to grab it, or they're not into it at all. Although I feel like that's, what happens with the majority of releases. But part of me always gets really excited when Anastasia releases a new palette. Even though they've done quite a few over the past few months, I'm always intrigued just because I enjoy the formula so much. And I think their palettes are always really gorgeous. So this one did catch my eye. I don't always love like a half colorful, half neutral palette, but there's something about the colors in here that are really appealing to me. I love their matte shadows, and then it looks like they have some shimmers, metallics, and apparently they're including some self-adhering glitters. I will say that is one trend that I wish we would leave back in 2019. I understand that some people like glitter shadows, but I almost wish that the brands would just sell them separately because not everybody wants glitter shadows in their palette, and I'd rather they just sell them as singles. So I don't know. I don't think brands are quite over that trend yet, but I was hoping they would be. So I actually did something that I've seen other creators do. I put this in PicMonkey and covered up the pops of color. So I'll put a picture for you guys on the screen. When you cover up the pops of color, it definitely looks more like a warm toned neutral palette. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love warm toned neutrals. But the more that I look at it, like with those pops of color covered up, it looks a lot like my soft glam palette, which I love. So I'm not sure that I necessarily need to grab this one. And I also think that as pretty as those colorful shadows are, a lot of them look like shadows that I have in Riviera, and I did not get as much use out of Riviera as I thought I would. So in the end, I'm tempted to purchase this one, but I don't think I'm going to end up buying it just because I think that I can dupe this with other ABH palettes in my collection, so I don't think it would really add a whole lot to my personal collection. I haven't actually chosen a palette for January yet. I think that I am still planning on purchasing one palette per month during 2020. I might skip a few months just depending on how I'm feeling. There aren't a lot of palettes that are really on my list right now. I've been considering the Fenty palette as like my January palette just because it is a new formula. I'm curious to try it out. Speaking of Fenty, they just released a few new products. There's one that I'm not going to buy and one that I am considering purchasing. The first one is a new mascara. This is the Full Frontal Volume Lift and Curl Mascara, and it will be available on January 16th for $24. This one does sound interesting because the brush has two sides. They're saying the fat side is supposed to load and lift your lashes, while the flat side defines and curls your lashes, and it is a water-resistant ultra black formula. I kind of like that it has two sides because I'm typically somebody who likes to go in with two different mascaras. One that really lifts my lashes and makes them like thick and voluminous, and one that will kind of lengthen them. So I feel like you do kind of get a 2-in-1 with this mascara. But I think I kind of have this unspoken agreement with myself that I'm not going to purchase high-end mascaras. I like a few different high-end formulas like the IT Cosmetics Superhero, the Hourglass Caution. I think they perform really well. But when it comes down to it, I'm just like a drugstore mascara lover. There are so many good affordable options, and I tend to reach for those over high-end mascaras when I have both in my collection. However, I am thinking about trying this next set. This is the Fenty Stunna New Year Highlighter and Lip Set for the Lunar New Year. It's available now at Sephora. It does look like it's an online-only exclusive, but you get 2 full-size products for $50, and the retail value is $61. They are permanent products, so if you have either one of these, obviously this set isn't going to be a great option for you, but it does come with a Killawatt Freestyle Highlighter, and it's a duo, so you get Mean Money and Hustla Baby. I used to have a mini version of Hustla Baby, but I dropped it and it shattered everywhere, and I was so sad because I loved that, and I think it was like a couple of months ago, and now every time that I go out of town I look for it in my collection before I realize I dropped it and I no longer have it. So I was thinking about repurchasing it, but I just didn't feel like I needed a full-size highlighter. Anyways, I know that I love that color and it would be nice to try another one of their highlighters, and they're also including the Stunna lip paint, and this is a liquid lipstick in the shade Uncensored. I'm kind of back into liquid lipsticks. I know that a lot of people are moving away from them, and I feel like I was moving away from them too, but at the same time, if I have like a long night ahead of me, if I don't want to get lipstick on my teeth, if I'm going somewhere where I'll be talking a lot or eating and drinking, liquid lipstick is still my go-to. If this was a mini set, like if it was a mini highlighter and a mini lipstick, I would grab it immediately because I love minis, especially cheek products and lip products, because it takes me forever to use them up, but they are full size. So I have a feeling this will go on sale just because it is like a New Year product. So I'm going to add it to my loves list and wait a few weeks to see if it goes on sale. If it does, I'll definitely be grabbing it. If it doesn't, then I might still end up trying it, but it could go on sale, so it's worth waiting for. I told you guys I wasn't going to be buying any face primers until I used up the 3 in my project pan, and I am going to stick with it. I told you guys so you could keep me accountable, but I kind of wish I didn't make that promise because there is a face primer that caught my eye, but this is why I made the promise, because I love face primers. I'm actually almost done with one of my primers, and I feel like maybe I'll get through them fairly quickly because I am just focusing on the 3 of them. But anyways, Urban Decay just released an all-nighter face primer. I love the all-nighter line. I love the setting spray. I love the powder. So I feel like this just jumped out at me immediately. They describe it as a smooth and hydrating face primer that grips foundation into place and supports its staying power, so your foundation is supposed to be locked in all day long. They also say it's really lightweight and it's supposed to give your skin a smooth appearance. Honestly, that sounds like the ideal face primer to me. The problem with a lot of primers that claim to grip onto your foundation and hold it into place all day long is that they are sticky and my foundation looks a little bit uneven and patchy. The only one that I've had good luck with is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, and I actually have a video coming up soon where I did talk about that again, but I think this one kind of sounds like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, so I don't know if they would feel very similar. I feel like if I go into Sephora and swatch it on the back of my hand and it feels like that one, I'll be satisfied with my Milk Makeup Primer, but I think this could be a good option in the warm weather, so like spring, summertime, because I love using my products from the all-nighter line during the summer. I just feel like they really lock my foundation into place. So I do think it will be fun to try. I am planning on grabbing it at some point. I just need to use up my other 3 and then that one will be added to my collection. I'm trying to strike this balance on my channel in 2020 and it's really hard. I feel like I talked about it in a couple of recent videos, but it's hard to please everyone and it's even hard to please myself sometimes because I have this YouTube channel and I think that part of my job on YouTube is to test out products, to purchase them, or if I get them in PR, because I really do try to give a fair, honest review. I will tell you guys if a product is good. I will tell you if it's bad. I always share pros and cons. So I like to be able to review products for you so you can decide if the product is worth spending your money on or not. But at the same time, I've been trying to cut back on purchasing as many products. I've taken myself off of a lot of PR lists because I don't want to contribute to waste. So I feel like it's a little bit difficult. I don't know exactly like how to strike that balance. That's why I do a project pan and I tell myself I'm not going to buy new products until I use them up. But at the same time, I want to be able to provide helpful reviews. So you might see me kind of struggle with that back and forth a little bit in 2020, but I think that I feel like I'm trying to strike the best balance that I can. If you guys have any insight, let me know what you think. So ColourPop just released a new monochromatic eyeshadow palette that I did get in the mail as PR. So I am wearing it today because a lot of you guys were asking my thoughts on this. So I will say that is helpful. If you guys, have a specific product that you want me to review on my channel, I always take that into account, and that's something that I really try to do. So that does help me when I'm trying to decide if I should purchase something or not. But anyways, I thought I would test this one out because I think a lot of you guys were curious about it. So this one is the Mint to Be palette. It's available now for $12. There are a couple of other products in the collection. I am wearing this as well as one of the Super Shock shadows. This one is in the shade Mint for You. And this is really pretty. It kind of reminds me of one of my older favorites, Flower Shop, which did have some gold in it. This one doesn't have any gold in it, but it's just really pretty on the eyes. So when I first saw this, I was really curious because I remember talking about this in one of my videos and in the comments with you guys. I think a lot of us were thinking that they were going to take the monochromatic palettes in a pastel direction. They did really vibrant palettes, which I love. That was like my favorite release of 2019, their monochromatic palettes, but then they did Lilac You a lot, and I think that one was pretty successful. I didn't actually end up purchasing that one just because I do have It's My Pleasure, and when I wear colorful shadow, I typically prefer something really vibrant and really saturated. But I know not everybody feels that way. A lot of people are very intimidated by color, but they kind of want to try it out. So I think pastel palettes are a great way to do that because the shadows are just a little bit softer. For today's look, I obviously have on like a pretty vibrant look, but I do think you could get something really soft with this palette. And honestly, this palette performs very well. The last 9pan palette that I tried was the Going Coconuts palette, and I'm just in love with that palette. I wear it all the time because the shadows are just extra smooth and blendable. And I've only tried this palette once, so it's hard to know for sure, but I do feel like it's the same case with this one. Sometimes green shadows are a little bit patchy. I didn't experience any issues with this one. If you want to see a get ready with me on this look, let me know. But if you guys are looking for like a softer green palette, you might enjoy this one. Anyways, I just thought I would quickly share my thoughts on that because a few of you guys were asking me. So this next product was a very highly anticipated release. I feel like Tati does a good job at keeping her products under wraps until the very last minute, but I think some people were guessing that she was going to release a highlighter. Some people said maybe like a beauty sponge, which was a little bit closer. I guess, what is this technically called? Like a makeup poof? Tati's calling it the Blendiful. It is available now for $18 and you get a larger version and then also a smaller version. So I did watch her announcement video and it sounds interesting. She was saying that essentially you could use it to create like a full face of makeup. I don't know about eyes, but she was saying like primer, foundation, powder, contour, it applies those products really well. It will be interesting to see it in action. She kind of included some clips in her initial announcement video, but you guys, I'm totally a brush girl. I really don't reach for beauty sponges very often. I do kind of go through phases where I will use my beauty sponge to apply powder, which I have been doing lately, but other than that, I don't use it for concealer, foundation. I might on occasion, but honestly, if I had the choice, I would totally reach for my brush like 9 times out of 10. So because of that, I don't think that I am like the target market for this product. I think it sounds interesting. I love that it's a little bit unique and different, but at the same time, I just don't think that I would reach for it if I did purchase it. So because of that, I don't think that I'll be buying this one just because I don't want to purchase it and then just have it sit in my collection. But I am curious to see how it works, what people think about it. She also restocked her Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette. So I know that a lot of you guys were kind of waiting for that one. I really like that palette. If you want to see my review where I share the pros and the cons, I'll link it below. But what do you guys think? Are you disappointed? Were you hoping for like, you know, a highlighter, a foundation, or do you like that it is a makeup tool? Okay, so I think I talked about the Trendmood box in my last purchase or pass video. She did her first box, and it's not technically a subscription box, but it kind of follows the same model in that you get a bunch of products for a discounted price. And that box looked pretty promising. There was a Bite Beauty lip product, some Ulla Henriksen skincare products, and I really wanted to grab it, but I actually was not able to get my hands on it before it sold out. The second box actually looks really promising. The first product that will be in the box is this new Farsali liquid powder. As somebody who has oily skin, this sounds like my dream product. It's an innovative liquid to powder serum that helps to balance oil production, and it leaves your skin with like a really soft powdered finish. So this retails for $54. I just got my very first Farsali product in my January BoxyCharm. I think it was called like the liquid glass serum, and I'm excited to try it. I just heard a lot of good things about Farsali. I've always been curious if their products are worth the money, if they're just like a very hyped up brand. She also shared a sneak peek saying Dominique Cosmetics was going to be in the box, and if it is a Dominique Cosmetics palette, I'm sold. I love her eyeshadows so much. She hasn't shared the exact product yet, so I don't know what it's going to be, but I am kind of waiting to see. And then she just shared a picture saying that there will be some Sigma brushes. So overall, it looks like it's going to be a good box. I am planning on grabbing it so far, unless like the rest of the products are something that I'm just not into at all. But hopefully I can get my hands on it and it won't sell out too quickly. So like I said in the beginning of the video, whenever January rolls around, I think brands start to release some interesting products, some innovative products, and the drugstore brands especially tend to come out with pretty large collections. So e.L.F. has released a few products, and of course they are one of my favorite brands. I am so excited to try their new Hydrating Camo Concealer. It's going to be available on their website later this month, and they also said it's coming to stores this month, which kind of surprised me because typically their products take forever to hit the actual retail stores, but it will be available at some point in January. I did see it on the Ulta website for $6, and it comes in 19 different shades. I do love their original Camo Concealer. I've actually been wearing it a lot lately. It's definitely more of like a full coverage matte concealer. It's somewhat similar to like Tarte Shape Tape. So if you're not a fan of full coverage matte concealers, you probably do not like that formula. So this one could be a good alternative. It sounds like the formula is still going to be a full coverage formula, a long wearing concealer, but of course more hydrating with a satin finish. So I am planning on trying that one to see how it compares to the original. I kind of hope that it's a good dupe for the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, which is my favorite, but it would be nice to have a more affordable alternative. They also released a Putty Eye Primer, which comes in 6 different shades for $5 each. This kind of sounds like the MAC Paint Pot. It's supposed to prime your eyes, make your eyeshadow last for up to 12 hours. I like that there are different shades, and there's also a white and a black, so I am curious to try that and see how it compares to my other favorite eye primers. They also did a luminous putty primer and a matte putty primer, which are like spin-offs from their original putty primer, which had so much hype surrounding it in 2019. I feel like it was sold out the majority of the year. Like nobody could find it in stores, no one could get their hands on it, but the people who did try it said they loved it. A lot of people said it was a dupe for the Tatcha primer. I actually didn't like the Tatcha primer. It just didn't work well for my skin, so I never tried the e.l.f. primer because I figured if it was that similar, it wouldn't work for me either. But if you did like that and you want one that's a little bit more matte or a little bit more luminous, this one retails for $8. They also released these bite-sized eyeshadow palettes for $3 each. These are really cute. They come with 4 shadows each, and something that a few of you guys have suggested is that I purchase a high-end palette and a drugstore palette every month. And I don't really want to purchase 24 palettes in 2020. I definitely still want to keep it around like the 12 palette range. And I don't think I'll be purchasing a high-end palette every month, but I think in 2019, because I only bought 1 palette, I typically went with a higher end option. So because of that, if I was considering a drugstore palette, I usually didn't end up buying it because I just went with 1. So I do want to focus on trying a couple of other drugstore eyeshadow products because I do think the drugstore does have some good options, especially e.l.f. They make some of my favorite products. So I'm not 100% sure what I'll do. I don't know if I'll stick with 1 palette per month, if I'll even buy 1 palette per month. I'm not sure, but I do know that I do want to incorporate some more drugstore eyeshadow palettes on my channel, especially because I have been trying to, bring the focus back to a lot of affordable products because they're great. Like they are some of my favorites. So I do want to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with that. But I do think these look nice, and I've had a lot of e.l.f. eyeshadows that perform really well for me. So Bite Beauty has some new products that could be interesting. They make some of my favorite lip products. So I wasn't really expecting them to, step outside of the lip product box, but apparently they are expanding. They have a new foundation, primer, powder, and then also new lip product as well. So they're releasing a new foundation for $39.50. This is called the Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation, and it comes in 30 shades. Based on the swatches, it looks like they could definitely work on their shade range already, but I also feel like it's hard to tell because I just think the swatches look a little bit off on all of the skin tones. Like some of them have almost like a gray undertone. They kind of look all over the place. It might be better to check out the shades in person or wait for like additional swatch photos from other people, but we'll see. So there are 30 different shades, and they say that this is a clean, long-wearing foundation with gentle micellar technology that mimics your skin's texture for a natural, flawless finish. Okay, so I'm on their Instagram. They're saying it's supposed to leave your skin looking very smooth, feeling really comfortable. So it's supposed to be more of like a comfortable, hydrating feel, works with all skin types, lasts all day. To be honest, based on that initial description, I don't think it's going to be ideal for me because I have oily skin. Oily skin is so difficult because I know a lot of people are not into like super matte foundations, but if I apply like a satin natural looking foundation, I will look so oily within like an hour. I love the way that natural foundations look when I first apply them, but I just need something that's typically going to stay in place a little bit better for me. So this one just, I mean, it doesn't like come out and say that it's a hydrating foundation, but it just sounds like it is based on the initial description. So I feel like I need to watch some reviews, some wear tests on this before I buy it. I do want to try some new foundations in 2019. I think that I try a lot of new primers, a lot of new powders, but I don't typically wear a lot of different foundations. The Fenty foundation is my favorite. So that is a goal for 2020. I just don't know if this one will be the one. But they're also doing a powder, a primer. I'm always up for trying new powders and new primers as well. What's interesting about this primer is that they have two. They have one that's meant for normal to dry skin and one that's meant for normal to oily skin. And essentially, it's supposed to be a neutralizing primer. So if you have really oily skin, it's supposed to help mattify, control your oils. And then the one that's for dry skin is obviously supposed to boost hydration, make your skin look a little bit more smooth. So I like that they did do two different primers. And then again, like I said, they have a powder. Let me see. Is it a powder foundation or just a pressed powder? They're calling it flexible coverage. So honestly, that could mean all kinds of things. I feel like I will check these products out in store. I do love Bite Beauty, and I think their products tend to be very high quality. So I am curious to see what they release. I know they tend to use some more natural ingredients, which some people prefer. So what do you guys think? Are you excited about that? Do you think they should stick to lip products? Okay, guys, that is the end of my video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, chatting with me about new makeup. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these products, and let me know if there's anything you want to see on my channel over the next few weeks. I hope that 2020 is off to an amazing start for you guys, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.